have Block 1, Block 2, Block 3, Block 4, Block 5, Block 6. Block 1 goes to GNPC. Block 2, Block 3, Block 4, these are the blocks which are going for open and then competitive tendering processes. And then Block 5 and then Block 6 are meant for direct negotiations. So how did we arrive at our findings? We relied on 4 key processes. The first being key informant surveys. What we did was that we prepared questionnaires and then we sent them to industry experts, including members of the oil and gas licensing bid rounds, to get their opinions on certain questions and then to also gauge their thoughts. We also performed a legal analysis. We looked at the laws governing the whole process, the Petroleum Exploration and Production Law Act 919, and then the general regulations, and then we attempted to look at compliance. We looked at what the law says, and then we looked at the practice and then the gaps which existed. We also performed the political economic analysis of the issues. We looked at international issues, we looked at local issues. As the process was ongoing, the issues which came down, we took them and then we did an analysis on that. And then, thank you very much, we relied on the use of scorecards, and then we provided a weighting. So based on literature, based on existing publications, and then based on the feedback that we had from the key informant surveys, we developed a scorecard. So we developed 4 thematic areas. That is compliance with the laws and regulation. And then we assigned a weight of 45%. We looked at the transparency of the process, how sufficient it was, the provision of information, how comprehensive it was, elaborate it was, and then all that. And then we assigned a weight of 25%. We looked at the rationale of the use of discretionary powers by the minister, and then we assigned a weight of 20%. We looked at the involvement of civil society and other non-government stakeholders, and then we assigned a weight of 10%. So it totals to 100%. So we did an assessment based on these categories, and then at the end of the day, we came out with a mark. So this becomes our grading scale. So any mark between 90 and 100 becomes an A for the overall process, that is the pre-qualification stage. Any mark between 60 and 69 is a C, in that order. Are we together? So what are some of our key findings? On the issue of transparency, when you look at the Petroleum Exploration and then Production Act, Act 919, Ghana has 3 processes which are ongoing. That is the direct negotiation, allocation of oil of blocks to the NOC, and then open and then competitive processes. What we are saying is that there has been some form of sufficient information that has been provided on the competitive tender process. But with the direct negotiations and then allocation with for the NOC, there is not much information. Key finding 2. With regards to publication of vital information on the licensing website, we are all aware that there is a website, www.ghanalr2018.com, which is supposed to be an online repository of information, of data, and one-stop shop to help researchers, people in academia, citizens, and everybody to go there. But what we also realize is that the notices, the statements which have been provided have often emanated from social media. So Facebook, Twitter, and then all that, WhatsApp. So the website is not really serving its full purpose for which it was built. So if I go to this website and then I want information, I would find myself wanting. On the use of discretion by the minister, we also realize that information shared by the ministry so far on petroleum blocks earmarked for direct negotiations indicates that in respect of each block, we received more than one expression of interest. Now, when you look at section 10.8 of the law, it prescribes a tender process, whereas section 10.9 also permits the minister, in consultation with the commission, that is the Petroleum Commission, to enter into an agreement by direct negotiations. So the question we ask ourselves is, once we have received more than one expression of interest for these blocks which were meant for direct negotiation, which of these provisions would be activated? We do not know. And then if section 10.8 would be activated, if section 10.9 would be activated, whereby the minister in consultation with the commission would enter into an agreement, we want to know why. Key finding 4, it has to do with the selection of indigenous Ghanaian companies. We are saying that there is no selection criteria for indigenous Ghanaian companies who may want to partner companies that may successfully go through the licensing process. And then for us, we believe that this is important to ensure a corrupt-free process. On the channel of communication, we also realize that there is no institutionalized channel of communication between citizens and then the ministry with regards to the licensing rounds. To add to this, there is no feedback mechanism on the official website for licensing processes. Now, websites are being built to be more interactive. Once you log onto a website, a dialog box pops up, and then you can send a query, and then you receive feedback. You will see some hotlines, some email addresses that you can send requests to, and then information will be provided. But when you do a thorough review of the official website for this licensing round, it is not there. So we are saying that there is no institutionalized channel of communication between citizens and then the ministry. On the issue of beneficial ownership disclosure, there is no information on beneficial owners of companies that were pre-qualified. And then we think this is a worry. Now, so these were the benchmarks. As I said, we've already gone through this, that we developed these 4 thematic areas, and then we assigned weights to them. So after the whole process, I explained to you our methodology and then all that. So we assigned weights to them, and then we scored. So with regards to compliance with the laws and the regulation, out of an assigned weight of 45%, citizen score or the expectation came out with a mark of 41% out of 45. With regards to the transparency of the process, the provision of enough information, comprehensive information, and then all that, out of an assigned weight of 25%, the score was 17. So 17 out of 25. With regards to the rationale for the use of discretionary powers, a weight of 20 was assigned, but the score there was a 0 score for that. With regards to involvement of civil society and other non-government stakeholders, out of a weight of 10 which was assigned, there was a score of 6.5 out of 10. So when you put everything together, it is 64.5%. That is the score for the whole process based on the methodology that we adapted. So 64.5 can be rounded up to 65%. And then per the grading scale, it is what? A C for the whole for the pre-qualification stage. There are some key recommendations that we want to see going forward. Number 1, we are saying that to enhance transparency of the process, we expect the Minister of Energy to abide by the provisions of the law and to abide by good governance practices and disclose information on all the 3 processes. We are grateful for the information we have on the open and competitive processes, but we also want more information on the direct negotiation and then more information on the allocation of blocks to the National Oil Company. Recommendation number 2. It is expected that vital information on the licensing process, such as notices and statements, be hosted on the official bid and licensing website to ensure unrestricted access and a permanent repository of knowledge. To add to this, we are also requesting that any information that is put there is complies with the principle of open data policy. You can put an image there, an information there, but it can be in a JPEG form, and then it becomes difficult to work with. Recommendation number 3. We are saying that civil society and the citizens for that matter expect that the ministry will clarify the petroleum block allocation process to be applied to block 5 and then block Cs. And then these are blocks which are going for direct negotiation. Going forward, as the most recent update provided by the ministry relating to these blocks. So what we are saying is that we want the minister to clarify which of the provisions in the law that he would be going by. Recommendation number 4. What we are saying is that the regulator should publish the criteria for the selection of indigenous Ghanaian companies to partner companies that may successfully go through the licensing process and ensure that their selection is transparent, devoid of political or executive influence. Recommendation number 5. We are saying that the Licensing and Bid Rounds Committee should announce an official address or include as a website feature an interactive feedback section to address citizens' query and then suggestions on the processes. Recommendation number 6. We expect the ministry to provide some information that may not be required by regulations at this stage, but will be necessary for the purposes of transparency and then accountability. It may not be in the laws, but what we are saying is that for the purposes of transparency and accountability, whichever information that needs to be disclosed, we want to see that being disclosed.